There, Tracy here, artist in residence for Imagine Crafts. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this patriotic card using just a few supplies and some extra cutting. So let's go ahead and jump in, but before we do, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified every time we upload a new video. All right, let's get started. So here are some supplies that I'm using. I'm using VersaFine Clair in black, bluebell, strawberry, and I'm using Brilliance in moonlight white. And what I have here is I have a stamp, and use any stamps you have. I just happen to have this one, and it is a Statue of Liberty, and I'm stamping that out in the black VersaFine Clair. I want to make sure it's good and stamped down, so I'll go over it with a couple of coats because it's a pretty big stamp. And then I have, off camera, I have a mask that I've made for her. And we are working on Kraft paper today, which is a different twist, giving it kind of a little bit more of a rustic feel. And I make my masks out of Cricut Transfer Tape. And so I have this mask, which is reusable, and I'm just going to lay the mask down around my little statue and then stick it down to my sticky mat. And I've got a layering stencil here, and I'm kind of getting the stars, kind of centered around her crown. And I'm going to start with the VersaFine Clair and Strawberry and just a stenciling brush. Use what you have to apply ink. And I'm just going around and pretty thickly applying this ink because I want it to be nice and red. Okay, so we're done with our red stars. Now I'm going to do my blue stars. And I'm trying to match up my stencil here. And normal people can do it better than I can. But I digress. I'm grabbing the bluebell ink, and I'm just filling in those stars with the bluebell. And I'm not real worried about the very bottom of the paper because a lot of that's going to be trimmed down, because I'll be trimming that down to 3 3/4 by 5. So I have one more stamp that I want to use, which is just a tiny star. And for this, I'm going to use the Brilliance ink. And I decided to use my Cylindrical acrylic stamp holder thing. And all I'm doing is just going back and forth with the Brilliance ink and just randomly placing the white stars everywhere. And I'm doing those. So our first sets of stars are kind of, in a nice order, and these are just random. And I've done that on purpose, so there's that. I just want plenty of white stars on here, which with the moonlit is kind of a iridescent almost, with the moonlit white on the Brilliance. So I've got all my white stars. Now all I want to do is trim this down, and I'm going to mat it up. And I'm going to grab my sentiment, and this is also just a sentiment red rubber stamp, and I'm going to use the bluebell. And I'm just going to stamp it out a couple of times until it's nice and dark. And that's ready to go. I'm going to let that dry. And now I've already trimmed down my paper. No, I haven't. So I'm going to trim my paper down to 3 3/4 by 5. Because I'm going to add 3 matte layers here. So the next layer I'm doing a little bigger than 3 3/4 by 5, and I'm doing red. So I'm going with red, white, and blue. And you could cut the center out of yours, but I didn't. And there we go. It's a good match with the strawberry ink. And I am going to lay just something flat on top of it so it'll kind of, help it dry. And then this is a white glitter paper. So I'm doing it 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm doing the blue a little bit bigger than 4 by 5 1/4, just about a 1/16 of an inch. I just want tiny mats, but I do want all the matte layers there. And so I'm going to lay this down with lots and lots of glue because the white is a glitter cardstock. It's hard to see it on camera, but it is a glitter cardstock. So I'm just going to put something heavy on that and let it dry. And I'm going to layer up my God Bless the USA as well. And I fussy cut around that. You could banner cut it or, cut it however you want to cut it. I just happen to fussy cut it. And I'm doing the layers exactly the same, only, fussy cutting around. So there's just a tiny border around each layer. And here's the white glitter, and I'm going to let that dry for a moment, check on my other. I'm going to grab a Kraft card base, and I'm going to glue this all down, and this is a 4 by 5 1/4 Kraft card base. And so we've got lots and lots of mats and layers, and that will dress up the kind of rather otherwise kind of plain card. So I'll go ahead and trim this out. This is a little bit of a heavier cardstock, so it's a little bit more daunting to trim, but I get around it. So again, you could do your sentiment just on a banner or on a plaque, however you want to do it. So now I'm going with the blue so that it matches up with my matte layers on the bottom. Super simple card. You could add embellishment too if you wanted to. I typically don't. Not on the Rustic cards. And I'm just going to glue that straight down. I don't see any need to pop it up because it's on so many layers of paper. And that's it. That's the card done. Super easy. I love it. I hope you like it. If you do, please leave us a thumbs up. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.